Alright, y'all. I'm finna sell my soul. I'm gonna hit y'all when I'm through. I'm gonna be rich as hell. Alright?
I told him, bro, man, he trying to sell his soul, man. Look, Juice selling his soul. It ain't take too long, Illuminati, man.
What'd you say, Coop?
Morning, TMZ is reporting rapper Juice WRLD is dead after suffering a seizure at Chicago's Midway airport. The rapper, whose real name is Jared Anthony Higgins, had just gotten off a flight from California this morning when he collapsed. TMZ says he was rushed to a hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Juice WRLD's most recent album, Death Race for Love, debuted at #1 on the U.S. Billboard 200. He was just 21 years old.
Hey, what's good everybody? It's your boy, Seethruthescript here, back with another video, and this time I'm going to be covering the death of yet another extremely popular artist that had died at the very young age of 21 years old, and that artist goes by the name Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD was born Jared Anthony Higgins on December 2nd of 1998 in Chicago, Illinois. When he was very young, his family moved from the gritty south side of Chicago to a more calm suburban end of Chicago by the name of Calumet Park, later moving again to the town of Homewood, Illinois, where he would finish high school at Homewood Flossmoor High School in 2017. Juice WRLD's parents, at the age of just 3 years old, ended up getting a divorce. So unfortunately, his father was in and out of his life, leaving him to be raised by his mother. According to most sources, Juice WRLD's mom was not a fan of hip-hop music and was fairly religious and conservative. This led Juice WRLD into the realm of rock music, citing some of his favorite bands as Black Sabbath, Blink-182, and Billy Idol. This definitely inspired his sound that he later developed as he got older. However, it was when he would hang out with his cousins where he would get the opportunity to start listening to some more hip-hop, which began to give him a new love for a different genre of music. Over time, Juice WRLD started to become fond with freestyling, realizing that he had a real knack for it when people in his high school started to back him, stating he should start making his own music. After Juice WRLD posted his first couple songs to SoundCloud, he got noticed by a producer who goes by the name of Side Piece. Side Piece then introduced Juice WRLD's music to the now popular producer Nick Mira from Internet Money. It was from here where Juice WRLD began to blend his love for rock with the modern day trap sound with the help of his producers. This led to the release of his highly streamed single, Lucid Dreams, which was released in the year 2017. Now, many would describe Juice WRLD's sound as like a fusion of rock and rap, and it would go under the genre of emo rap. Juice WRLD ended up creating quite the buzz around him as he merged two musical worlds together. This is what really allowed him to draw in a really large fan base. Even well after his death, he has over 30 million Spotify monthly listeners. However, not everything was golden for this young man. He unfortunately couldn't help his drug habit from a young age. Juice WRLD was popping pills like Perocets, and he also picked up the habit of drinking lean at a very, very young age. Sadly enough, Juice WRLD even admitted while doing an interview that listening to Future's music, the artist from Atlanta, got him into drinking lean. Here, have a listen for yourself.
My freshman year, I ran into some Percocets my freshman year. 14, 15 years old, 13, 14, whatever the fuck that age is. I ran into some Percocets my freshman year. Niggas was calling me and my homie Clucks, right? 2 years later, 3 years later, Future dropped 56 Nights. By the way, Future is the GOAT. Future dropped 56 Nights. Niggas is hitting my phone like, will you get all them perks from them Zans? Like, cause of some music. And like I said, I don't know if I said this earlier in here or in some having a convo with somebody else, but hearing that music at such a young age, nigga, I was trying to sip lean in 6th grade. Listening to Dirty Sprite 1 and True Story.
Now, the worst part about this is the Atlanta artist Future himself openly admitted that he doesn't even consume lean himself anymore.
When I didn't want to tell nobody I stopped drinking lean. I didn't want to tell because I felt like, damn, they're going to be like, oh, his music changed. because he ain't drinking lean no more.
But he was nervous to make that public in fear of how his fans would react. I mean, like, look, if you ask me, this is yet again another clear example that the music one listens to, especially when listened to a lot, whether the topic revolves around drugs, violence, or even depression, can lead the listener down a dark path that could truly affect them badly in the long run. However, later down the line in 2018, Juice WRLD and Future went on to release a collaborative project titled World on Drugs, which was supposed to reflect on the state of the rap community and the immense drug usage that was going on. Now, I guess to be fair, Future came out stating that he was bothered that his music had led Juice down that path, and also had him questioning how many other younger children had he influenced. Now, it was in 2018 when Billboard had announced on March 13th that Juice WRLD had signed a joint venture deal worth over $3 million with Interscope Records, and things seemed to only be going up from here. In the same year, Juice WRLD started touring and building his fan base. He released his album titled Goodbye and Good Riddance, which featured the smash hit Lucid Dreams. Worth mentioning, Chicago native Lil Bibby was a big reason behind Juice WRLD getting his shot into the game, as Lil Bibby started his own label that was under Interscope Records named Grade A Productions. It's very likely that without this connection, Juice wouldn't have gotten this major record deal inked. However, in 2019, he released the album Death Race for Love on March 8th, which featured a bonus track with the popular rapper NBA Youngboy titled Bandit that continued to help Juice WRLD soar into the hip-hop world. Fast forward to the month of December of 2019, Juice WRLD celebrated his 21st birthday, a year he famously stated he wouldn't make it past, which ended up manifesting as it was just 6 days after his 21st birthday when Juice WRLD was on a private jet coming back from California to Chicago when the pilot of the plane reported to the police that Juice WRLD and his crew had brought drugs onto the plane, which led police to set up a search upon Juice WRLD's arrival. It was at this time, while in the air, Juice WRLD ended up taking a bunch of pills to get rid of the evidence, as sources say, only to end up suffering a seizure. At least that's what was reported at the time. I say that because there are other reports that stated he suffered from a cardiac arrest, but nonetheless, this led to an ambulance taking him away on a stretcher when he ultimately was reported dead at the hospital. Now, I gotta mention, prior to Juice WRLD's death, there was a strange TikTok challenge going around called the Lucid Dreams Challenge, where fans were seen shaking uncontrollably and spitting out water as audio from the following lines skips in the background, as you could see here.
I have these lucid dreams where I can't move a thing.
Now, under the comments of most of these posts, you could see others writing how this post actually predicted or even manifested the man's death, as the earliest reports stated Juice suffered from a seizure in the airport. I mean, this only makes me think how we as humans truly do have this unrecognized power to manifest things into the world by our actions, using music which exerts frequencies that are typically low vibrational, paired with lyrics that are more spells than lyrics depending on how you look at them. So without further ado, let's jump into this decode. And for those new here, I will be using the practice of English gematria, which involves tying a number to each letter of the 26-letter alphabet within a 4-base cipher system. When a word, phrase, or sentence is spelled out, it generates a numerical value. We then explore the connections between those numbers and the date numerology. I also dive into the English Sumerian cipher, which simply takes the English 26-letter alphabet, but instead of going in increments of 1, each letter is in increments of 6s, meaning instead of A equaling 1 and B equaling 2, in this cipher, A equals 6, B equals 12, so on and so forth. Now, the first thing I want to point out is the connection to Juice WRLD's full name and the date numerology of his death. Notice Jared Anthony Higgins equals 309. Using the rules of numerology, zeros are null, leaving us with the number 39. Notice the date he died, December 8th of 2019, has date numerology of the number 39. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, Juice WRLD more or less manifested his age of death in his song Legends, where he said the line, "What's the 27 club? Oh, we ain't making it past 21." Well, on December 8th, Juice WRLD was reported dead at the very age of 21 years old. Notice when you spell out the number 21 in words, it equals 42, just like his stage name in the most pure cipher. Also notice when you spell out 21 years old and Juice WRLD's full name in the most basic cipher, they hold similar values of the number 204 and 240. Remember, zeros are null, leaving us with the value of 24. Now, still on the number 21 though, Juice WRLD died at the age of 21 on a Sunday. Notice Sunday equals 21 in the most pure cipher. Okay, but here's where it gets a little bit deeper. Using more esoteric knowledge, as discussed on this channel plenty of times in the past, the occult seemed to have a very deep love for the planet Saturn. It is said to represent a lot more than just a fancy planet with rings around it. According to the author Jane Sacchetti, she wrote in her book Dreams, Symbols, and Homeopathy, these ancient chemists knew the poisonous nature of lead, and it is not unreasonable to imagine that more than one alchemist was poisoned while attempting an alchemical experiment on this substance. Because of its poisonous qualities, the alchemists associated lead with Saturn, the god of limitation and death. Lead, as Saturn was portrayed as the Grim Reaper, a skeleton sharpening his scythe, and was thought to be responsible for moving individuals through the trials and necessary separations that mark out every life cycle. The Romans associated Saturn with the god of time. Now, one obvious commonality amongst all life forms is that we all eventually run out of time, leading to our death. Saturn ultimately was an entity that was praised in many ancient civilizations, so much that sacrifices were even made to it. To avoid going too far into this, I recommend those who are interested in reading more on that topic alone to check out this source of information I have shared on the screen here. So search that up to learn more. Now, back to the numbers. The reason I bring this up is because when you spell out the word Saturn, it equals 21 in the most pure cipher. And for those unaware, 21 is the 6th triangular number. Where the connection goes deeper numerically is the fact that Saturn is considered to be the 6th planet within our solar system. Saturn is also known to represent a hexagon, which is a 6-sided shape. Saturn is also said to represent a cube, and a cube has 6 faces. When you think of the cube in regards to religion, for example, there are tons of religions that use it for a spiritual connection to God, from Islam to Judaism, even to Christianity through the cross, as you can see in this image here. When you think of a cube, it's a box essentially, and growing up we were often told to think outside of the box, as the box is limiting us. So it only makes you think, is the essence of Saturn still ruling our planet today through forces of energy and frequency from the planet itself reaching Earth, and further being channeled through the worship of modern day religions and mainstream media's Saturn glorification? But for those that want to hear more about that topic in particular, I did make a video about Saturn, the keeper of time, and the cube symbolism a while back, so you can go check that out on my page. Anyways though, the point is that Juice WRLD died at the age of 21, 6 days after his birthday, 6 having the connection to Saturn, and Saturn being the dark force of energy bringing people down. On the song Traveling Inner Peace by Juice WRLD, he makes reference to the planet Saturn with the lyrics reading, "Out of space off the codeine, I'm on Saturn." Now, some may think this is a stretch, but when you actually understand the meaning of that song, it's all about how Juice WRLD feels trapped in his mind. This was according to him when asked about it during an interview with Montreality. Again, as discussed before, Saturn is the god of limitation. Feeling trapped is to be limited, so that only further adds to the Saturn ritual at play here. Alright, now moving on from the Saturn talk, remember earlier I stated that Chicago rapper, now label owner Lil Bibby was an essential part to Juice WRLD's career, and is the one that helped him ink the deal with Interscope Records. Notice from what was Lil Bibby's 25th birthday to Juice WRLD's death was a span of 20 weeks and 4 days. As mentioned earlier, Juice WRLD's full name holds the value of 204. Lil Bibby lost his first major artist that he signed on that day. Now, what I found to be pretty crazy was that Juice WRLD only got to live for 7,676 days. Notice the day he died when spelled out December 8th equals 76 in the most pure cipher. Also notice his official cause of death according to the autopsy was ruled as an accidental overdose, which also equals 76 in the same cipher. Coincidence? I think not. Another big catch the gematria community picked up on was the connection between Juice WRLD's Twitter handle and his day of death. Notice he had it written as Juice WRLD with 3 Ds, which holds the value of 128 in the ordinal cipher. He died on December 8th, written 12/8, 128. I bring this up because Juice had made a very questionable tweet back in 2017 where he stated, "My goal is to get overly famous, shine for a couple of years, then fake my death." This tweet led me into the next rabbit hole we're gonna cover surrounding Juice WRLD's death, which is the idea that he really did fake his death. Now, I personally cannot confirm nor deny this, and I also don't bother to debate the reality of whether a death was faked or not. Not because I don't think it's important, because at the end of the day, some may be triggered by this, but if we don't get to see the individual after their passing, how can we with 100% certainty confirm the individual is still alive? I do understand that this world is a stage, and these entertainers bear stage names, and they are just characters on the main stage. However, are they really that valuable to the evil so-called elite that they would want to fake their deaths? I mean, truly, we all know artists are worth more dead than alive. So what is their incentive to keep them alive? Some say that they go on to play another character, wearing some sort of mask. However, what I do find to be very fascinating is that the word hoax holds the value of 21 in the most pure cipher. And again, Juice WRLD himself tweeted that he would fake his own death. He also even stated that he wouldn't live past the age of 21. Lo and behold, the headline makes it to all the major blogs that he is dead at the very age of 21. But it only gets more cryptic as I looked on, as an artist by the name of Clever, who had worked with Juice WRLD, released an album titled Crazy on March 12th of 2021. Many people notice that when you observe the first letter of each song title on his album, it actually reads Juice WRLD is alive, with the last song on the album being titled Alive. However, what also makes this even more fascinating is that the date of this release, March 12th, can be written 12/3. Like the number 123. The word conspiracy equals 123. Again, this album only fueled the conspiracy that Juice WRLD is still alive and breathing. Also, just as you thought this couldn't get any crazier, Juice WRLD's girlfriend, Ali Lottie, who might I add has a very suspicious tattoo on her abdomen of the Freemason compass with the all-seeing eye in the middle, had recently gone on a strange rant sometime late November on IG Live where she stated Juice WRLD didn't die from an overdose. I'll share that clip for you here.
You don't get it, like, at all. Y'all mad because literally I'm like, oh, blah, 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 you guys think he died from a drug overdose. You're wrong. Literally, you're wrong. So suck a dick, okay? Suck a dick. There's a lot of shit y'all don't know that I fucking grieve through myself while I let y'all grieve and talk mad shit on me. I don't care. I'm gonna go ahead and be what y'all want me to be, which is me.
Now, most will speculate that she is just super clout hungry as her star boyfriend is no longer around and it's hard to maintain the fame without the one who got you so much more attention. However, one also has to think, is she hinting at something similar to what I just brought up earlier? Is Juice WRLD really still alive? Did he die differently than how the mainstream media reports? Or is she simply on drugs and out of her mind? Many will think the latter. However, I'll leave that up to you, the viewers, to decide. Alright, something that I had to bring up that I almost forgot about was that weird, eerie connection between John Lennon and Juice WRLD. Both of these men died on December 8th. 39 years apart. John Lennon in 1980, Juice WRLD in 2019. In regards to that 39, remember that Juice WRLD's full name equals 309, just like the number 39 using the rules of numerology. But what's even more strange is that both of these artists seem to have known that their deaths were around the corner, or at least they predicted them or manifested them, whatever you want to call it. But for John Lennon, on the 1969 track Come Together, you could hear him whispering the phrase "shoot me," which is obviously strange considering that is exactly what ended up happening to him just about 10-11 years later. And then you have Juice WRLD saying we ain't making it past 21, only for him to die 6 days after his 21st birthday. And I bring this up because Juice WRLD actually made several references to John Lennon in many of his tracks. One of the lyrics from his track Too Many, he goes on to state, "I'm a drug abusing, codeine using, modern day John Lennon." Again, is this all a coincidence? Is this how the world has it planned out? Or is there something more deeper going on? Alright, so moving on, another potential hint that was right in front of our faces before Juice WRLD's passing was coming from his last album before his death, titled Death Race for Love. This album was released on March 8th of 2019, a date written 3/8, like the number 38, and I truly feel like a broken record as every time I mention rappers, it's impossible not to mention the number 38. For those new though, notice the words rapper, gematria, death, and Kabbalah, which is where the practice of gematria comes from, all equal 38. Now, notice this album was released 39 weeks before Juice WRLD's death. Remember, Juice WRLD's full name has the value of 309, and he died on a date with 39 numerology. But let's quickly go back to the whole seizure narrative. Again, this stemmed from an accidental overdose. Notice overdose and seizure are a 3-for-3 match in the base ciphers. Again, it makes one think, are these stories even close to the truth, or are they simply a numerical script being played out? While on the topic of overdosing, using the Sumerian cipher I explained earlier in this video, you can see Juice WRLD holds the value of 630, like the number 63. Notice the phrase drug overdose equals 63 in both reduction ciphers. I mean, honestly, how fitting. Juice WRLD died on December 8th, which leaves 23 days in the year. Notice the word drug and the phrase OD'd both equal 23. Worth mentioning, the word fake also equals 23. This goes back to the whole thing I mentioned earlier regarding whether or not his death was fake. Now, a fitting way to close out the video I thought would be to discuss his first posthumous album release, which was titled Legends Never Die, which some could say is a hint to the theory that he really is still alive. However, notice it was released on July 10th of 2020, which had prime date numerology of the number 57. Notice Juice WRLD, his stage name, equals 57 in the reverse reduction cipher. But I'm not done. From Juice WRLD's death to this album release was a span of 7 months and 3 days. The phrase ritual sacrifice equals 73 in the most pure cipher, but it also equals 107 in the reverse reduction cipher. This matters because the date it was released, July 10th, can be written as 10/7, like the number 107. But last but not least, this album came out 216 days after his death. As mentioned earlier, Juice WRLD died at the age of 21, 6 days after his birthday. Another example of the number 216 popping up. Now, one's probably wondering, why does this number matter? Well, if you multiply 6 times 6 times 6, you get the value of 216. Juice WRLD was known to rep the number 999 on his merch. He also had that number tattooed on his body, and on an MTV interview with Sway, they did a series called Decoded where Sway asked him what that number meant, and he basically said that it goes back to the number 666 in the Bible and how he takes that number and flips it the other way around, which represents the number 999, and it also represents all the struggles and hardship that he's gone through and how he's been able to overcome them. Now, just cause I do want to share an interesting observation that stems from the satanic cipher. So for those unaware, in gematria there are many other ciphers to observe our coded realities. Although I don't delve too deep into the other ciphers outside of the 4 base and the Jewish, this is a very interesting find, to say the least. In the satanic gematria cipher, rather than going in increments of 1, you start at the number 36, as you could see here. A equals 36, B equals 37, all the way to Z equaling 61. The reason it starts with the number 36, you would need to be familiar with your triangular numbers. Granted, this is the practice of numerology. Notice if you add 1 through 36, you get the value of 666. Again, the connection between 666 and Satan should need little explanation. However, to remove any doubt in one's mind that this is yet another cipher to make things easier for decoders to make things just magically line up, as they like to say, despite that being the farthest thing from the truth, notice the phrase satanic gematria, when written in this cipher, holds the value of none other than 666. I mean, if that doesn't convince you of the strange but clear relationship between words and numbers, I really don't know what else will. Oh, and I know I said this would be the last thing, but I gotta mention that Juice WRLD also had a famous cousin that was in the music industry who flashed tons of symbolism before his untimely passing, which so happened to be at the age of 36, and that man goes by the name of Young Dolph. For those curious about his death, I already decoded it and made a video on my channel, so if you want to check that out, you can go scroll down and you'll find it. But seriously, what are the odds of both of these men being related and ultimately died while at the peak of their careers in the wicked music industry? However, with all that said, I want to say RIP to Juice WRLD regardless of whether one thinks he is alive or not. Also, I gotta say thanks to all of those who stuck around and watched the whole video. Just know you are greatly appreciated. But by now, y'all should know the drill. Be sure to drop a comment if I missed anything. Also, make sure to smash that like button, share the video, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel, man. Remember, all of those things are free to do. Much love. It's been your boy Script, and I'm out of here. Peace. Peace. Peace.
I just gotta hop on Pro Tools. Hold on. Glow, I hope everybody having a good day. Hope everybody accomplished something significant. Even if you didn't accomplish anything significant, don't be discouraged. Just aim to accomplish something significant tomorrow and the next day.